Welcome everybody to another installment here on The Special Educator. Today's title is going to be Rosary in Jesus Prayer, Two Paths, One Heart. I'm your host, Tom Hankins, instructor, tutor, consultant, and musician. Welcome back to our series. Please, before we get going, I'm going to ask you to like, follow, subscribe, get notified, share. Please, feel free to comment and engage us directly. Business end of things before we get going here. Website is tsegrp.org. Email host@tsegrp.org. Facebook, X, Rumble, and Medium.com are the same at tsegrp. YouTube at tsedgrp. And then Instagram and LinkedIn are, you spell the whole thing out, The Special Educator. So this is going to be the second posting focusing on religious-related topics because we have started Lent. I am a Catholic, and I'll just say a confirmed Catholic, switched over. When I was very young, I started as an Episcopalian. Then I attended a Lutheran parochial grade school, and I attended an all-male Catholic high school, and I continued my religious studies well into college. So without getting too far into it, what I'm going to focus on today, Ash Wednesday was yesterday, and now that we're into the Lenten season, for those of you that are out there, be you Christian or not, be you secular or religious, is not really that important. I'm going to show you two tools that I came across in my religious journey, if you will. One is specifically Catholic, and the other one is loosely tied to Catholicism because it is found, if you will, in the Catholic Catechism. So, in Catholic practices, the Rosary reigns supreme. It is the go-to prayer guiding tool and involves beads. I'm going to show you this here so you can see it. Well, let me get to the full screen because it's a little easier to see it here with the full screen. So the Rosary involves a series of beads. There's a cross crucifix at the end, and three different prayers are generally recited when you do the Rosary, as well as you're going to look at and examine things that are called mysteries. We'll go over that in a moment. Let me get over here. So what I wanted to bring you to was this. The three prayers that are recited when using the Rosary are the Our Father, the Hail Mary, and the Glory Be. During the procedure of praying the Rosary, there are four groups of mysteries or categories of mysteries that one meditates on or thinks about. There's joyful, sorrowful, glorious, and luminous mysteries. I have some resources here for those of you that are interested. I'm going to basically say here, you have USCCB's United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. You have the Vatican itself. And then you have the Dynamic Catholic, which I'm not going to say is secular, but it's not directly associated so much with the Conference of Catholic Bishops or the Vatican. Those are resources that you can go to online to understand more about praying the Rosary, how to do it properly. And I will be honest with you, it took me a long time to figure out how to do it properly. Yeah, seriously, it was not that easy. There are also some books that are out there. For those of you who prefer to read, let's go over here. And so the two books are The Rosary, Your Weapon for Spiritual Warfare by Jeanette Benkovic and Thomas K. Sullivan, and then How to Pray the Rosary by Kevin and Dorothy Orland Johnson. So getting back to the Rosary itself, there are beads along the way, And ideally, what you want to consider is this: the most recited prayer is the Hail Mary. There are groups of 10 beads separated by others, and each of these represents saying a Hail Mary. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women. Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. That is the main theme of praying the Rosary. You have to recite that 10 times within each section. When you get to this tool, it is one of those things when you go through Catholic education, it is part of your training. But I'll be very honest with you, even though as an adult I went through from a Lutheran to become a Catholic, it is something that was still a bit foreign to me and took me a while to get used to. It is still not something I will ever perfect. I've watched people do it. I've gone through it online, and I really haven't read any books about it. But it is involved. You have the 4 mysteries to deal with, and you have 3 different prayers. In the Catholic Catechism, I found mention of something called the Jesus Prayer. I found it by accident. It wasn't something I was actively looking to find. But the Jesus Prayer, I'm going to say, is more regarded as an Eastern Orthodox centered tool or prayer. And the tool that they use is something called a chotki. Now, let me get over here and go like this so you can see this. So the Jesus Prayer is actually very simple. The prayer itself is up here. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. It is prayed repeatedly. The prayer itself never changes, but is a totally different purpose. So let me show you what this looks like. Now, they come in different lengths, different number of beads or knots. Whether you have a series of beads or whether you have knots on a rope is kind of a secondary concern, but here is mine. You have a cross at one end and you have a string of beads, or if it's a rope, you have a bunch of knots. Generally speaking, this is 100 beads. This is the longest one that is made. Some of them are 33 or 50, certainly much smaller, far more portable to deal with. But unlike the Rosary, where you're praying different prayers and kind of refocusing your attention and energy and verbiage throughout it, the Jesus Prayer is singular in its purpose. The whole idea is when you pray to use rhythmic breathing patterns. So here's how you do. You grab a bead, and you would say, and you would inhale, and as you're inhaling, say, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God. And then for your exhale, you say, have mercy on me, a sinner. It is not easy to speak while you're breathing in, but the whole idea is to put yourself into a meditative, I won't say full-blown tranced out state, but the whole idea is to get into this constant rhythm of breathing and get into a pattern. Now, I bought 100 bead length just because I figured I'd need more practice at it. And I find it difficult, but meaningful. If you've ever, let's put religion aside for the time being, if you've ever repeated something over and over and over again to the point where you start losing focus on the actual words and more just on the mechanics of it, that is what basically happens. The words are important, but the whole idea is the breathing and the rhythm and getting into the state where you can just focus on it. Both have different purposes. Both have different utilities. Both use slightly different tools, but I find them to be good in each of their own ways. Now, some people intermingle these, and I've been told, or I've heard, that when you're praying the Rosary, some people will, for these 10 bead sections, instead of praying a Hail Mary, do the Jesus Prayer. I, for one, do not. My opinion, my belief is that if you're going to do the Jesus prayer, just stick with that. And if you're going to do the Rosary, stick with that. I do separate them out. So again, not to dig on anybody. And for those of you that don't get into prayer, or you don't use these tools, or you're not even Catholic, that's perfectly fine. These are just tools. I'm not here to, be a holy roller and shout about what is, the best. So let me go down here. Just like there were books and online resources for the Rosary, there are similar for the Jesus prayer. So online resources are at orthodoxprayer.org, the Monastery of St. John.org, and publicorthodoxy.org. Your books, however, are a little bit different. So let's go here. The 3 books and The Way of the Pilgrim. Now, this is a 19th century Russian text that had to be translated by R.M. French. And I haven't read any of these books. The other one is The Jesus Prayer by Frederica Matthews Green. And I'm going to go on this next one, On the Prayer of Jesus by St. Ignatius Brancanov. Now, getting back here. As I'd mentioned, I don't combine them, but there are elements to each of these that are beneficial. We've entered the Lenten season, yesterday being Ash Wednesday. For those of us that are Christians, and myself specifically Catholics, we get the ashes on the head and all. That is great. But the whole idea about Lent is kind of a couple of different things. One is about self-reflection. Others maybe almsgiving, be it money or services. There is about a sacrifice because we do the No Meat Fridays for those of us that are there, and that's one of those things that gets some people, especially younger Christians, is the whole No Meat Fridays. But we can get around that as adults fairly easily. Fish is allowed, by the way, but it's no land animal meat. Let's be a little bit more clear about that. What I want to get across is this part of prayer. Part of Lent for me is about, sacrifice. There's things you give up. For me, foul language and what we'll call really bad foods, the snack foods and the things like that. So I'm trying to concentrate on eating more healthy in that regard, but also being a little bit more aware of what I am saying when it comes to expletives. And it's not just substituting, it's about just avoiding using expletives as best I can. None of us are perfect, we're all sinners, but just so you know, for those of you that know me out there, you're going to find I'm going to actively try and moderate any of my more aggressive language. Beyond that, all I want to say, and I'm going to end this pretty quick here, I want you all to think about those things during Lent. For those of you that are practicing in the Lenten season, actively engaging with it, it's about prayer, it's about self-reflection, it's about being selfless, giving to others and helping others, but it's also about helping yourself. When we're talking about prayer is public in one sense when you're in church, but it's also very private. So these two tools are there to help. They in and of themselves are not really any, for me, they're really more a way to organize your prayer, to get things done properly and in the right order, in the right fashion. I'm going to pretty much leave it at that. The resources that were there, by all means, you can access any of them online. If you want to go to books, that's great. But I'm going to ask you, after watching this video, if you're so inclined, leave some comments about your own experiences. If you do either one or the other or both, makes no difference, please. This is a non-judgment zone, and I will ask that you be insightful, be helpful, because there might be others out there that would be finding some of your feedback useful in their own lives. Now, over here on the right, you can see that I'm posting on a bunch of different resources, Facebook and Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, X, and of course, Rumble at this particular point. My contact information, or the business end of things, is over here, right below there. Right there. And please, one more time, I'm going to ask you to like, follow, subscribe, share, leave comments, anything that is out there to help not only my efforts so I can get more material out there for you and also know what type of material you like, but also anybody else that is watching. So, once again, I'm your host, Tom Hankins, instructor, tutor, consultant, and musician. I hope this video finds you healthy and well, safe and sound, and please, in the spirit of the Lenten season, peace be with you.